Welcome back to This Week in Showdown. Your host Bob is back, and Jeff's here too.
I'm back. Here I am.
Woo! We're so glad that Jeff's back because probably no one could stand listening to me for 2 weeks in a row going solo with my annoying voice. Like, geez, can Jeff come back?
You know, I'm a bad fan of the own show that I'm on. I haven't listened. I just assumed you did the game show voice for the entire thing.
No, I did.
If I wasn't there to stop you, right?
Oh, I did, but it's just me going solo, so the things take like 7 minutes to get through the cards, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like me talking to myself is pretty annoying.
I have no problem doing it. I've done like half-hour pods by myself, and I'm like, dude, I can't shut up. I'm like mad at myself for not shutting up. So anyway.
So we are back this week in Showdown. This is week 7, and obviously some players are doing some stuff. Other things have been happening. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to have you back on the cast.
Dude, it's great to be back. For anybody listening, my unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, my job situation over the past year and a half has been pretty wild, pretty much directly with COVID, and I have finally landed a full-time gig that I'm very psyched about. So that's the good news. The bad news is I'm losing Showdown time in the process. So just finding the balance the past 2 weeks was kind of wild. So finally getting into swing of things.
Correct. Now, I know that you wanted to talk about certain things that we did not do.
Right. So if we're talking, I was listening to a lot of baseball pods this week, and of course, just in the world of Showdown, or just in the world of baseball, I asked Bob desperately to see if he could. I tried to find a picture of Yermin Mercedes hitting the 3-0 pitch off of La Tortuga. There was no high quality picture. It was only him rounding the bases with Astudillo in the background, which was just as good. And then the backup was, I just wanted Tony La Russa's dumb press conference Zoom face on a card with Yermin Mercedes, stats. Just because this whole thing, this is how I was thinking. I was thinking a lot of baseball, which is so wild. And I don't think I'm the only one. I look at, baseball in terms of showdown terms. And that's kind of what makes it so much fun. Like, especially doing This Week in Showdown and seeing cards and how their week went and how they equate in real life and how they equate in Showdown. But I thought about this whole 3-0 pitch thing in Showdown terms. Bob, it's like you and I are playing, right? Bob, you are winning, I'm the batter. I'm winning 15-4 or whatever it was. It's like I have the advantage. And then I said, no, you know what? 20-sided die. I don't want that. Give me the 6-sided die.
Yeah.
Give me the 4-sided triangle thing. Like, that's what I'm gonna roll with. Like, no one does that, and so it's just like, I mean, this whole thing. I feel like everybody I've talked to, everybody's on the same page. I like,
except for Tony La Russa, he's like the only one on the opposite page.
Right. I'm desperately trying to find someone who like agrees with Tony La Russa, so I can just get in a crazy argument with that person. But I can't find that person, and I'm so ready to get in arguments over anything. So anyway.
I guess you could have your opinion, but like to not defend his player, really I thought bad. That was when he's like, I'm in the office and he's in the locker room, like, okay, there's a big disconnect there.
Dude, if I was getting this text from other people, and they were saying like, how is Tim Anderson not beating Tony La Russa right now? Tim Anderson is the fucking man. And I saw in the clips once in that when Duffy and the Twins threw at him, like Tim is like trolling the Twins from the dugout. I'm just like, yes, like that. And like, it's just amazing because Tony La Russa is on the other side of the fucking dugout. Yeah. It's just like, it's honestly in my brain for a bit. I was so confused on like, Tony La Russa is the coach for the White Sox, but he's talking like he's not, and it makes no sense to me.
It's so weird. He's too old. He's this old school mentality that has never like grew up. And player safety is a thing. And their team had their shitty pitcher out, position player throwing meatballs up. I'm gonna get my hacks in, and anything can happen at any time.
Dude, he talks about like the one thing that makes me mad about that whole thing. Like if you've given up, and like that's fine, you've given up. You can't tell me there's not the lowest bullpen guy could use some innings, right? Just to try some shit out. Maybe he doesn't want to nerf his own stats, but
yeah, basically it's about like trying to preserve your arms for the next day. But whatever, that's just what happens. They put him in. That's the other team's fault. My players are going to still hit because I've seen teams score 9 runs in an inning, okay? So I'm taking every run I can until the game's over.
Yeah, I love La Russa talks about, I think in his press conference when he accepted the job for the White Sox, he like talked about sportsmanship.
Didn't he also
And
get in trouble like just before he accepted, or after he accepted the job, but like before the season started, he got in drunk driving ticket or something?
Yeah, that's my zinger. Is that
Yeah.
my zinger on this is that Tony La Russa gets all butthurt about unwritten rules, but yet can't follow the written rules.
Oh, yeah.
You can't drive drunk. I mean, Jesus Christ! Like if this guy wants to talk about sportsmanship, like I'm sorry, I know it's off the field, but maybe don't drive intoxicated.
Yes.
Because you know what, that's pretty dangerous. And you know what's not dangerous? Hitting a 3-0 pitch for a home run, because home runs are awesome, and
Yes.
your mean Mercedes is awesome, and
yes.
and who cares? Like, oh my god.
So to take you on one more side note, this is thanks to Greg last night. I did not see this, but I don't know if you saw the John Boy. I just saw it last night, but the John Boy thing of I think it's Dave Martinez, the coach of the Washington Nationals, picking up first base and throwing it.
Oh, I saw that it showed up. I haven't watched it
Oh,
yet.
it's fantastic.
Is it great, dude? It's been a while since someone picked up a base and threw it or walked away with it.
And I totally am on the side of the John Boy and the coach. I have no idea. I'll just run by the situation real quick. Trey Turner hits a grounder to first. Or sorry, he strikes out, but the ball gets by the catcher. Catcher goes to throw it to first. The first baseman is on the foul side of the base, okay? So Trey Turner has to run basically dead on the line, if not just inside the line. But he always runs dead straight. He doesn't like jump around or jump into wherever. The ball gets thrown from the catcher to the first baseman. The throw is off. It hits Trey Turner. The ump says, runner interference. He's out.
Dude, I think that.
Oh man, he blew up.
Oh yeah, I've seen. That's not the first time that a bullshit runner interference has been
Trey
called
Turner's
this year.
it happened to him twice.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Like I think umpires get off on calling runner interference. Yeah. I'm like calling that. I think there's just like something where they have like whiskey later in the night.
So it's and apparently it's not a rule. It's a what do you call it? It's a ruling, like you get a judgment call. So the umpire gets to make the ruling. And I mean, Dave Martinez picked up the base and threw it in foul territory. He's like, "Is that where you fucking want him to run? Over fucking there? Put the base over there." I mean, it was fantastic.
Okay, I'm literally gonna go watch that after this. Like, I'm so behind on my John Boy.
I know, I love content. John Boy.
Oh God!
And thanks for Greg for showing that out. And thank you to Matt Guru to Gula to get the MLB Showdown Bot. That's why I make all these cards, to show you guys every week, from MLB Showdown Bot on Twitter and showdownbot.com. And speaking of that, the best player of the week is our boy Fernando Tatis Jr. And I found the San Diego Chains pick to put on him, and he had one hell of a return from the COVID list.
Oh my god!
He comes back from COVID. He's on my fantasy team. He's fantastic. He comes back from COVID. He only played 4 games this week, 4 homers, 12 RBIs and 3 stolen bases, 7 runs. Unbelievable. Like, just a monster fucking week, and it puts his card to an absolutely undraftable, because it's almost too much here, but a 9-14 home run. This is like a Sammy Sosa with extra pop.
Yeah,
and
I was
speed
like,
A.
I don't even like. He was like what? He was like hovering around like less than 100 points for a while. Like he had a slow start to the season, and like, oh my god, like what? This is bananas.
People were like, oh, everyone's hyped him up so much, but his last like few weeks have been absolutely ridiculous, and this week especially is kind of like, holy crap. I mean, he went 3 for 3 yesterday with 2 homers, 6 RBIs, and 3 runs. Just so good.
Right, and we have to shout out like probably the best bat flip of the season so far. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. I mean, it was one of those 4 home runs he's hit this past week, I believe. It's been a little fuzzy on when exactly happened, but oh my god, it was wonderful. There was a
cool bat flip that I saw where like the guy like sort of put the bat as like a cane and kind of like flicked it off the ground. So I thought that was a pretty cool one.
I want all of it.
Yeah.
Just I want to see every type of bat flip that ever could be happening.
Yeah,
I
want to see the emotion. I want to see the player get pumped, and whatever happens. You know what I mean? This isn't showing anybody up. This is, I just fucking hit a home run, and this is awesome. So next up, we have a little bit different story with Austin Riley here, who has had 6 home runs in the past week and 11 RBIs, 9 runs scored. He's known for his big bat, but he's only had 9 home runs in the season, so it's actually an actual MLB Showdown looking card here.
For sure.
But 380 for a 9 on base. Interesting. A lot of singles
with pop.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty decent.
There.
It's pretty decent.
Right. I mean, I think about like this is pretty similar to maybe more outs, but oh God, I people are just gonna laugh. I always have Carlos Santana on my mind, but Carlos Santana, I love Carlos Santana. I love his showdown cards. He was an on base 10. I think he was also 1 through 3 out. A lot of walks though, so switch some of those singles for walks. But he had the 17 double, 18 to 20 home run, and he was ranging at about 470. So I think that makes. I mean,
I feel like under 400 points for a 9 with defense and not C speed feels very draftable, very good value.
With just at the, I mean, I think there's 3 things here: on base 9, 1 through 3 out, 18 to 20 home run.
Yeah,
low for less than 400 points.
You're right, absolutely. If you just break down those couple things, it feels very draftable.
100%. This is, I mean, he must have had a slow season coming into this week.
Oh yeah, like I said, he had 9 homers and he had 6 of them in the past week.
that's unbelievable.
So
holy smokes.
Yeah, he's basically doubled up his stats in this past week. He had 21 RBIs and 11 of them were this week. So yeah, basically doubling up. Next up, we have the rookie, basically of the year right now, as Adolis Garcia. He's already had a showdown card, I think, earlier this season. And now he's got another one. And I never knew about this guy, and he's just crushing the living tar off the ball. He had 4 homers this week and 11 RBIs, and somehow 2 stolen bases. This card is a Sammy Sosa card.
This is literally Sammy Sosa.
Yeah.
I think it's just like more out Sammy Sosa, less walks Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, it's this one is very true outcome. Like, or not true outcome, there's a lot of singles here, but this is very like 3 categories: strikeout, single, homer.
Yeah, I mean over half the roles are true outcome, but yeah,
But this could be a really fun card. If I like these big power 8 on base guys. If he could continue for the season, it's a really fun draftable card to pick up.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I mean I've talked about this. I wish I went for like a 10 on base with less power, and to fill one of my spots in my lineup, and I regret not getting like an on base 8 that just rakes.
Yeah.
In the 2020 set, that was basically me going Anthony Rendon versus Luke Voigt, and I went Rendon, who is the worst, and I expected it, and I could have gotten Luke Voigt, who's an on base 8 homers at 14.
Yeah.
I know.
I got a Mitch Moreland who's an 8 home run at 16, and he's been tearing it up for me this season.
I've seen 8s not work out. I've seen that, but it seems like maybe I'm just like putting them on a pedestal. But I've had 8s that just go bananas for me. Yeah. Like I've seen them on like yours, like Mitch Moreland. I've seen them go bananas.
Well, I got Brandon Lowe who's doing awful right next to him in the lineup, so it's really hit or miss. But I feel like 8 is a good spot. If you get the 7 on base guys like a Joey Gallo, that's where you're like more of not getting the underperformer. Yeah. When you get the 8, you could have an absolute crushing season or an absolute dreadful. Just depends.
Right. The 8 is where I'm willing to spend some extra salary.
I agree.
Kind of as the wild card. A 7 on base 7 with a crazy. That's where I kind of pump the brakes a bit.
Yep. Next up, crazy Jesse Winker here. I followed him a little bit last year, but this year, 6 home runs in the past week, giving him 13 on the season, 8 runs and 7 RBIs. But he has a 412 on base for the season. Which is just great. So he's looking like a monster 10, 17 home run guy that plays the outfield.
I mean, he's second in the league right now in OPS at this exact moment. I know I mean, he's second. Vlad Jr. is number 1, which is amazing. And Vlad Jr. actually has
tar off the ball
too. He's going, but he's amazing.
I think he had 2 runs today. I think he's
actually but Vlad Jr. has 13 more plate appearances on bats, which is pretty interesting. But Winker is number 2 with he's 1096.
He's doing great. And this past week he had a 467 on base, but he's just slugging like a monster. This card is a beast of a card. 570 is a lot. This is like a McGuire type card when you got the 10-17 home run at C speed. But the outfield's a little bit better because you got the +1 versus the first base.
It's tough. It's
a lot of points, but I've seen McGuire type people kill it. And this one has less walks, so
Yeah,
You know,
that's
singles true. Eight is a single. That's not bad.
But this is a number. This should be number 3 in your lineup, and it's just so tough to spend unless you have other 500-point cards batting 1 and 2. It's just hard for me to push. Like, I know people think like 1, 2, 3. That's where your guys would be. Just where doesn't matter if it's 1, if it's 3, if it's 2. Like, that's kind of you don't ever put them beyond that point.
Mark Guire was 570, but he was a 16 home run, but he had 6 through 13 walk.
Oh yeah, this card's better. I would take. I would give me the more singles, lose the home run.
Absolutely, totally I'm just trying to look up his 2001 card really quickly. Oh, he was also 16 in that one. He's 580 or something. I can't really read this version, but yeah. So I mean, that feels right. 570 feels right.
Mm-hmm. It does. It absolutely does.
It just. Are you willing to do it? I mean, I've seen people do really well with it. Someone is going to draft a card like this. It's not like it just depends on your team build at that point.
To me, I love this card and I think this card's realistic, but this screams to me as a card that would be left on the board after a draft.
I don't know, man. It depends. I mean, McGuire gets drafted. Well, he's a 16 home run. Okay, so I don't know. You're right. This is right on the cusp. It just he has a lot of singles.
It's really close. It's really, really close. I'll give you that. It's 570. I know it's 570. Like I think if this were 550, 520, I think it's
520.
Like
I'm eating him up. Like he's
I think if 550 to me becomes like the blurry area where it's like, oh my god, like maybe I do it, but 570 feels like a bit.
Yeah,
so,
I was trying.
But that's personal preference too. I'm thinking like, what is
Jeff Bagwell was a 17 home run and he was 570, but he was A speed, 4 through 12 walk. So it's the right salary, I feel like, but like maybe like 20 points less is where I'd want him. And I liked Bagwell because he was A speed. That's why I drafted him. I mean, 10 A speeds ridiculous.
I mean, I also think of Fernando Tatis, Big Daddy Fernando. Tatis.
Senior. He's an 18 home run though, right?
He's 18 home run. That's 2,000 scoring.
But he's also A speed.
He's A speed.
Yeah, he's 570. Yeah.
See that card for 570 I mean, that's again, it's different scale. Like the two. If we put Winker into 2,000.
Yeah. So do you trade 1 home run to go down to C speed? Because that's basically what this Fernando Tatis card is, and he has less outs for Jesse Winker. It's really interesting.
I would still go to if I was comparing those two cards, apples for apples. I would still go to Tatis.
Yeah, I favor speed a lot, but it is an interesting conversation.
I don't value speed, I think, as much as everybody else does. I get why, of course, I absolutely understand why it's important. To me, speed is really just like the tiebreaker almost. Mm-hmm. Like that's where I start to value that. So
next up, then we go to Jeff's favorite, which is the worst batting performer of the week.
Yes.
Our boy Justin Turner, which, you know, for a person with a red beard, I don't think he pulls it off too well. I feel like he needs to like bring it down a little bit. I've seen a lot of his beard. It's like really a chin beard. He needs to get like a fuller face beard going on.
It works well with his hair though.
He is a very hairy guy.
He's got an awesome hair. I mean, anyway,
so he went 1 for 22 this week with 1 run.
This card still though.
Well, he's had a 362 on base percentage for the year, 7 homers. He just had a really bad week. So this brought his card down to what you're seeing right now. It was much better before this.
Dude, this card would be drafted early.
Oh yeah. 230?
230.
Yeah, for pop.
And similar who were walks. Wasn't it who were we talking about that had the 17 double? It was Austin Riley. So take Austin Riley, the same position, same defensive. Turner's a little slower. Drop the on base down to an 8. Turner's got more walks, same amount of outs. I mean, this card's a bargain. It's a
for sure.
Bargain.
For 230. I mean, I grabbed I think it was Carter Kaiboom, and he's like 200 points, I think, or maybe like 170, but he's an 8, but he can't hit a home run. Like,
yeah,
I would take an 8 at 230 here with pop. I mean, he's got enough. I mean, there's a lot of walks here, but it's not bad. And you get plus 2 third.
I kind of like this card's It's so funny. We're talking about this guy sucked this week. Justin, come on, pick it up. But
Well,
this
think
card's
about it this
awesome.
way: he made his card better for us to draft him.
Right. I like that our cards these players are tracking worse during the week to give us more draftable showdown cards. How does that work? It's awesome.
I like it. So next up we go to the pitchers. Julio Urias for a lot of Dodgers in this week. He had 12.2 innings pitched and had 3 earned runs, 18 strikeouts in that 12.2, and got 2 wins. Again, this is how ESPN tracks their players of the week and stuff like that. That's sort of what I'm using. But he's having a pretty decent season. This card is pretty bossly.
This card's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
This card would be a first round draft pick at 620.
Absolutely. I mean, I was drafting first round 5 16 out guys. I mean, this is no doubles. I mean, it's a very expensive card, but I think 620 is a bargain for a 5 1 through 17 out.
Right. Yes. I mean, this is tier 1, right? What's 20,
yes,
22. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a lot for a pitcher, but we had a lot of 620 point pitchers in our most recent set, the 2020 set.
Yep. I think it's going to be a continuing trend as baseball just keeps throwing no hitters every week.
Oh my God. I mean, I almost feel especially coming out of this year, we're going to, I mean, I don't know what the record number of no hitters is in a particular season and a full length season, but I don't know how we wouldn't get close to it with this. And
we already hit the fastest number, the fastest. So I think we had 7 now, the fastest. So
I need to make
8 if you count Madison Bumgarner's 7.
Oh, I count the 8.
I think it is.
I count as
6 and 7, whatever it is.
Yeah, we should have had the Kluber one. I almost think that we need to get into not the 2002 or 2003 showdown style, but maybe the cards for the 2021 set need to have a little no hitter icon, just because I think I think that'd be pretty baller to know that this is the Kluber no hitter, the Wade Miley no hitters card, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Zach Wheeler, who's been tearing it up the last 4 starts, but in this past week he had 14 innings, 22 strikeouts, and only 1 walk, 1 earned run. He had back-to-back games with over 10 strikeouts, and his 1 earned run in the last game was a homer. That was the 1 earned run. So now this card is really kind of cool. So this card's 1 tier less than the last card, but 70 less points and a 7 IP. Feels pretty good.
I changed my answer. This card goes in the first round of our draft because this card's unbelievably good. My God.
And he's having a great season. So I really like this card for him. He has 78 strikeouts in 68 innings with a 2.38 ERA. He's doing very well this season, and it's a fun card. He's not walking a lot of people, so he's got the no walks on his chart, no doubles. I feel like this very fun card.
IP7s, man.
IP7s are legit, especially with our new reliever rules.
we're gonna have we're gonna have so few IP7s. We had so few in the 2020 set.
Yeah.
Given that there was shorter, people were we got to try some guys out in the short period of time, but I think we're truthfully gonna have so limited number of IP7s in the 2021 set. And they are going to be so valued in general. So yeah, that's I doubt he'll keep it, but man, still an IP6 at this drops down a little bit in the price. It'll probably be about 510, 500, 520.
Yeah, about 500 is my guess. And very draftable card. I mean, super draftable.
Absolutely.
Next up, if you thought that card was good, here's another good card. So this one's a control 6 now that goes 6 IP, so he can still go a little farther. Darvish had an amazing week. He's actually been having a really good season. But his last week, he's only let up 1 earned run in 14 innings. He had 15 strikeouts. Before that, he only let up he had 0 the day before, or the week before that, 2 against Pittsburgh. His season total is a 1.75 ERA with 74 strikeouts and 61 innings. Another great card. So he's dropping down a little bit. With the 16 out, he goes to the 17 walk. So they basically just split it, but he does get the double, making this card a little bit worse probably than the Zach Wheeler card. But control 6 for 6 innings, this guy's going basically the distance for you.
Yeah, this card's it's again, these are all, it's crazy. The 621s feel like those are going to be, we're going to have probably 1 or 2 620s by the end of the year, but we definitely will have we're going to have a ton of pitchers between the 550 and 600 range, I think. And,
Easily.
I think this card is very realistic, and I think that I'm trying to think if there's an equivalent card of this that's shown up in our leagues, but no, this card's great. Yu's having an incredible season, and that I haven't really paid as much attention to the Padres pitching staff as much, but they have been.
Just Blake Snell has been really the worst guy.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
but he should be.
He just had a really good performance the other day, but he's overall this year he's been pretty rough.
Right, we're talking short sample size. I think over time, they're going to be all right.
Absolutely. And next up, we got a closer. I didn't do the statistics on this guy, but in the past week he had again, ESPN rates him on the closer chart, so I'm glad that we can put a reliever in here at this point. But he had 4 innings pitched. He had 4 saves this week, which is great. No earned runs allowed. He's been doing really good for the season. He has a 1.31 ERA, 11 saves in 20 innings with 24 strikeouts. This is a crazy card, though. No singles, no doubles, 16 out. I would never spend 460 for him. I don't know if that's just because of the way that the Showdown Bot calculates these cards.
It's 2001 scoring. So
you're absolutely right.
He does some he said to us that if you throw the same card in the 2000, it's like 200.
Yeah, and I wonder if on relievers I should do 2000 versions to make these cards a little bit easier to swallow.
No, I think this is good. I mean, it's probably a little
350 feels like a better range for this card. 460 seems undraftable. I can pick this guy up.
Right. I think it's mostly I'm thinking of almost the regression analysis that he's doing based on the data that we have right now from the cards, and because this card probably hasn't existed as good as it is before. It's just it's trying to desperately to kind of, and Gula could probably talk about it in way better terms than I am. It's desperately trying to find a place on the in the point scale where it's it lives here, I think. So, but I think of Tom Gordon. Tom Gordon's a control 6. I think he's an out through 18 or out through 17. So, because I think he's
how many points?
And he's about, I'm just going to look it up. I think he's 330.
That's what I say. I feel like this is in the 3s, not a 4s. But again, like you said, it's hard to find that player. Again, no singles, no doubles. It's a really interesting card.
Oh, so this is interesting. This is, Tom Gordon is 300.
Okay.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
And somebody had him. He's an out through 16. But he's got the 17 walk, 18-19 single, 20 double. God, I'm ashamed I didn't know this off the top of my head because I love that card, and we've talked so much about Tom Gordon. So I think that Kenley Jansen is that much better.
Oh, I think he's definitely that much better. But
I think you're right. I think
160 seems like a lot.
I think Tom Gordon might be the most expensive closer or most expensive 0-1 reliever. God, I'm
for at least a 1 IP guy.
Yeah, for one
assumption.
Yeah, I think he is. But
I feel like this guy would be 350 and it'd be a very good card.
Agreed. I think at 350 it gets drafted. I think anything above that it's just too tough unless he was an IP2, which
I would just grab 2 guys around the 200 point range and be better off. And that's without even having our crazy rules where you can't go extra innings. But let's just say that you had normal shutdown rules where this guy could pitch 3 innings. I mean, that's great. But I don't know about 460 great. Your pitching staff might get really hurt by grabbing a reliever this high up.
Yeah, it's just too much, and that's okay. And this card's amazing. And in terms of, I love that blind. I think of blind draft cards. This card would just be.
Side note: we got to get a blind draft going soon.
Oh my god, we do have to get a blind draft. I was thinking, because I know that you've been saving all these cards, right?
Yes. Yes.
I was thinking that that. Some
oh my god, to get it printed as the This Week in Showdown set,
we have to we have to print a This Week in Showdown set. We have to put them in at the end of the season when we've done a This Week in Showdown for every week of the season, which is so cool that we throw them for everybody listening, we throw them in a zip file for everybody to download and put them on the blog. And then we put them in the description of the YouTube thing, the final This Week in Showdown or something. And then, but I think for us, we print them ourselves. And then we just have the most wild. I think there were 1,400 point pitchers and stuff at the beginning of the season.
We'd have to make the rule though that if you got the same guy, you had to put the second one back. So it'd be funny to get the Glass now in week whatever versus the Glass now in week 1. You'd be no, I lost the really good one. And speaking of Glass now, that's why I mentioned it. The segue here, Glass now, another great card, but he had to come back to real life this week. He had let up 5 earned runs in 4 innings to the Blue Jays, bringing his ERA up to a huge 2.9 and his WHIP up to a whopping .97. He has 87 strikeouts in 62 innings. He's just ridiculous right now. Another tier 1 player and another great card. This card feels, again, 100% drafted, and this is after his terrible start.
Dude, I mean, are we at a point now where we're safe in saying that he's going to be the best pitcher in the set? I think we're close. Highest points.
What's his face for the Yankees might be there. Let's see here. Garrett Cole is rated number 1 right now, and then Ohtani's up there and Trevor Bauer. So I'd have to do a thing with I'd have to ask Matt R, because he does it in showdown terms. I'm looking at it in terms of player rater, but Garrett Cole has like 92 strikeouts in 64 innings and a 1.81 ERA, and he's has less walks. He's having a way bigger season than actually, let me just do this really quick, because we have the technology.
He has shown up for us a lot, so that makes, and like maybe I'm just getting skewed on that, but yeah, dude, I don't know. Like it seems like he's close. I don't know.
I mean, I'm bringing it up right now, just so everyone at home could. I'll slide it over onto my screen. This will not be in the official released version, but I'll bring it up on the screen. So Garrett Cole is another 620 point card, but he's a 5, 1 through 17 out with no doubles, no walks. So
dude, we have the duel of the 620 point pitcher cards right now. Like, holy smokes!
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see these kind of players, popping up. It's just wild, because these guys are doing so good, and they're just getting, like, again, no hitter after no hitter after no hitter.
It's going to be, but I mean, we're going to have. There was so funny when the first one. I think by the time we had 2, it was on. I don't know if it was like some poll on like the YouTube.
Trevor Bauer is an 830 point card right now.
Are you for real?
So I think it's just because he has less stuff or less whip and stuff, but I don't know if that's just the Garrett Cole card, but yeah, this card's kind of stupid right now.
But they were doing some poll saying, are we going to have more or less than 5 like no hitters?
I was like over.
And like almost, I mean, most people were saying like we're going to have almost exactly 5, and like, dude, we're like a month and a half in.
I would not be surprised if the Indians had like 3 or 4 against them. They already have 2.
So do the Mariners
and the Rangers.
So do the Rangers.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is
disgusting. It's bad.
That's bad company for the
sport.
Indians to be in.
Well, it's just bad for the sport.
Yeah, it is true.
Like if it's like mixed up, let's say there's like 30 of them and 1 for every team, you're like, well, it happens. When like a couple teams have it happening all the time, you're like, something's wrong.
Well, and it starts to like to me, like, this is like, I guess my hot take, like I guess everything on here, this podcast is a hot take. I just feel like they're starting to be devalued, like, no question. Like, people are just starting to shrug off and say, who's the next no hitter? And like, it doesn't matter anymore. When it really, for a guy like Wade Miley, like, to get a no hitter it's pretty special, especially the Carlos Rodon. Like, that was, even though it was against the Indians, that was really cool. Like, the guy's a journeyman.
Wade Miley's against the Indians was cool because he barely threw the ball hard. Like, he had a couple pitches above 90s, and I'm like, well, that's actually kind of cool for like older pitchers and stuff like that. Like, maybe location is actually pretty effective here.
Right. I just think that it is. I don't know what the solution is for that. And to be honest, I think there's much bigger problems going on with the sport than there is the no hitters thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's pitchers throw hard. They throw hard now. They throw harder than they ever have,
and more spin, and it's hard to hit.
Right. Like, maybe you do have to start really, really, kind of going against the whole tar thing, but that's its own thing. I don't even want to get into that. But anyway,
that's up for another podcast. And this week in Showdown,
we're gonna leave this cliffhanger on this big thing we don't want to talk about yet.
Well, thank you again for being here, Jeff. I'm glad to have you back. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Any closing words, Mr. Jeff?
No, I guess my last thing, the highest point 2001 reliever was Rob Nett at 330. So that was, it took me way too long to look that up. But, but hey, shout out to Corey Kluber. I know he's the Yankee. That's the worst. But the Indians did well on that trade. The Texans, the Rangers did not. And I would feel really weird if I was a Rangers fan watching Corey Kluber throw a no-hitter. But anyway, shout out to Corey Kluber's no-hitter. That was
all right.
pretty.
Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Bye.